In this lesson, you'll learn to include your CSS code in a different file. So you don't have everything mixed up in one file like we do now. The way to include CSS in external files is to first of all create a new file for CSS. So I'm going to go to File, New File, save this file, and I'm going to call it style.css. Next, I'm going to grab the CSS code that we had, cut it, and get rid of the style tags. And I'm going to put that code in here. The last part, as you probably imagine, needs to be to include this file somehow. So I just want to show you that CSS is now gone because we took it away and we haven't included the new file. So let's go and include this new file. We'll use the same link tag, which is used to include external files, in this case, particular cases like the CSS or the fav icon. But the rel in this case is going to be style sheet. That's just what you type on the attribute. And href will indicate the location of the file. In this case, the location of the file is on the same folder as the rest of my page. It's just on this Learn to Code folder, as you can see. So it's in here. If it was in a subfolder, we would have to type the name of that subfile folder and /, like this, for example. If the folder was called CSS, it would have to be like this, exactly like we did with images. There's no difference to that. So if we now refresh the page, you'll see that our CSS is back because we're including it in an external file. Normally, it's recommended to put CSS in an external file so that you can work separately in different files and the project is just more manageable. Also, if more than one person is working on the project, it's easier to work on different files in this manner. I'm gonna also show you another way of including CSS, which is not recommended, but you do have to be aware it exists because you might see it around. And this is to include CSS as an attribute. So you can add a style attribute here and add CSS rules to it. For example, you could add color green. So in this case, we don't do a selection because we're already selecting by basically placing our style attribute. So if we do that, see how this changed to green. But this is not recommended because you do want to have separation between the content and the presentation of the content. And that the best way to achieve that is by putting it in an external file. Sometimes you might also do style tags, but this way should be, it's not recommended. It's not a nice way to do it. If you want to modify one element in particular, there are other ways to do it, and that's what we're actually looking at on the very next lesson. To summarize, separation of content and presentation is important. Put your CSS in an external file, include it using the link tag, and inside your CSS, you can just add any CSS code. You don't need to use the style tags in here.